All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. Um, Definitely been a busy weekend here. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. Let's see how it gets going here. Um, Somebody told me today that the YouTube didn't send out notifications for when this live chat would be. Hopefully, that's not the case. We'll see. Hey, Maria, glad you could make it. Chad, welcome. Good to see you as well. um, so yeah, I've had a good weekend. Got some relaxation done. Did a little bit of hiking. Spent some time with the wife. Yeah, I've had a really good weekend on my end. Anthony, good to see you. Hey, glad you can make it. Um, that said, I've actually had some time to sit down and contemplate, what I was wanting to do and some other things that we're going to have going. And one of the things I do want to announce is for the supporter community. I am going to start doing a Wednesday live that's supporter only. And there's been some discussion about potentially doing every other day or daily streams where I talk about different topics with the supporters. That way, it's something I can be doing for you all that doesn't take away from the other work we're doing because it's easy for me to get on and talk for an hour with you all at the very least. So we're going to start with every Wednesday. I'm going to be doing a supporter only live stream. And if you're at work and you can't make it, it will be viewable for supporters also. You can click the link if you're unable to catch it live and watch the replays of it if you wish. I know many of you enjoy watching me for working out, drives, so many different things. People have told me you guys use me as background, which is kind of sweet. I appreciate it. Um, so we're going to start there and build up. Some of those will be topic focused. Some of those will just be general, what's going on. And part of that inspiration was, I talk about living a magical life like all the time. And it's hard to really go through that in a video, what it is, how to do it, and those kinds of things. But I think this will actually give an idea of the day to day what I mean. And you know what? Hold on. My light is not on. Oh, much better. Okay. Uh, Sorry about that. Um, so, yeah, we're going to be doing that. Also, I would love to let you all know coming up very soon, will be announced the exact time and date. Um, the first supporter live workshop will be done. Now, if you're already a channel supporter over on Locals, this is going to be a live workshop that will be posted to all the supporters of tier 2 and tier 3 for those who haven't moved to Locals. The link will still be posted in, or attempted posted in Patreon as well as the YouTube community tab. So keep an eye out for it. It will be a live workshop, and if you're supporting, you're in free to show up. Go join us for the workshop. Um, the replay of the workshop will be there for a week or two after. So if you're interested in it, you can still watch the replay there. The first one is actually going to be on arcane senses. We took a poll around different places, and it did seem arcane senses won. So I will be personally teaching and hosting a supporter only live workshop on arcane senses, where I do plan to walk you through several different exercises on at least 2 to 3 senses. The main goals will be to hit the sight and sound because those are usually the primaries, and we're going to try and hit the others as well. Goal is going to be about an hour workshop. If it runs over due to Q&A or whatnot, that's fine, but that's going to be the goal. Following that, I think I'm going to do a one on wards because that was the second highest requested workshop. So yeah, we got a lot planned coming up, and we are getting into the holiday season. Can y'all believe that it's already the holiday season? Oh man. Um, which is crazy. I should also say a lot of people have asked, Drake, you've had a lot of videos featuring Jade and you all have loved them, but you kind of missing my face. Well, first off, you see me every week here on the live streams, minus the week my internet was out. But yes, actually, I think it's this coming week. Let me check the calendar. I'm pretty sure, guys. Yes. Yes. This week, you actually get to see a video with me, featuring me again. So I haven't disappeared from the Tuesday videos. Like I said before, it's just with the holidays coming, I had no holiday videos planned. Jade had all these great ideas she was so excited about, and she was willing to do them. So I let her do them, and I've been focusing my time on the evocation course a little bit more. I'm actually reviewing all the footage because we are actually at the point where we're reviewing footage to see if we feel anything needs added or adjusted or reshot for the finalization. I was secretly hoping to finalize by Halloween. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think, unless something happens in this last section that's just complete bonkers and it doesn't feel right, I think getting it done by the end of the year will be no issues. So awesome thing there. And again, supporters, just so you do know that if you're part of the supported Working Dragon Mystic community, you will get early access to the course when it's done. So just a heads up there, keep an eye out. If you're a supporter, those updates will be coming. Because we are trying to get to a full 100% crowdfunded, so we don't have to worry about crap anymore. We don't have to worry about any kind of deplatforming or any of those things. And I'm not knocking YouTube personally, because honestly, so far they've been good to us, and that I can't argue. They give me a platform, a place to upload my content free. And most of the things that are getting people in trouble are things I don't really want to talk about on my channel anyways. So I think we're good there. But there have been some cause and concerns. What if you get caught up in another thing, your net or some kind? It happened with us on Discord. They made some changes. We weren't sure if it would touch us at all. That's ultimately what ended up in our Discord getting deleted. So yeah, we're trying to get 100% crowd funded by the end of the year. So if you're interested in doing so, check us out on Locals. Jade, if you can, I see you're here. Thank you. Drop some links. But if you want to, you can find everything Working Dragon Mystic at workingdragonmystic.com. For the Locals community, you just click Working Dragon Mystic Community tab. It'll take you over there where you can join for free or support us. And the support tab, just click that, and it's a monthly support, get you access to all the streams, all the support only content and videos, any of the workshops that I'm going to be doing. Jade's also going to be doing some. So for that small supporter fee, we are ramping up what you all are getting big time, because honestly, you guys are the heart and soul of Working Dragon Mystic. We appreciate it. And we've not had any luck with the plushie clocks yet. I just saw that pop up. And I've been rambling. A bunch of y'all have been saying hi, so I need to get back here and say hi to you all. Verdi Vibes, I cannot pronounce. Verdi Scent Vibes, I think it might be. Hey, how you doing? Violet Star, good to see you. Angela, as always, wonderful to see you. Welcome. Vitki, welcome. Thumbs up, everyone. Yes, that's actually a good point. Thank you, Angela, or Violet Star. Everybody, if you are here, give us a thumbs up. It does let the algorithm know you like the stuff we're doing, which is always appreciated. Virtual hug sending back at you. Don't forget the little thumbs. There's the you guys are great. How am I? I'm actually doing fantastic. As you all know, I've been trying to get back in shape. I've been doing a stricter carnivore. I'm actually down quite a bit of weight, which I'm very happy on. I'm seeing it more and more daily. I'm actually realizing I might actually have to go clothes shopping or rely entirely on belts soon at this rate, because it does seem to be dropping quite quickly. Though I did hit a point where I thought it was slowed down dropping. Then I realized my muscle mass is going up as it's still going. So that's a perk. Always love it when I have more energy, more strength. I'm not tired. Those are just perks to me, even more than the weight loss, really. Um, so I'm doing fantastic. I really am. Let's see. About to start. Nobody listened to me. I'm so trained when it comes to thumbs. I get why people forget. I used to be terrible at it, and I was trainable. One of these days, I'll get it. It's weird because there's part of me that still finds it hard to believe that I have a job where I'm literally an internet person because I don't really understand tech well. I don't think I'm very good at it, but I'm managing to help people. So that's got to be somewhere. So yay. Let's see. Yeah. Thank you, Valstar. Thank you. I'm actually quite proud of it. I've got some goals to get back down to my old fight weight and everything, training weight. We'll see where we go from there. It's going to be a long road, but I'm actually having fun with it. We're finding that certain things actually do irritate or trigger um, a bit more insulin resistance in me than others. So we're actually making a few adjustments on those. So we might even expect to see a quite speed up on there. But hey, the more you learn about yourself, the better. You know what I mean? Drake, I have a silly question, but since dragons exist, do unicorns as well? And can one work with them? I don't know why, but that crossed my mind. Vicky, unicorns do actually exist, though not in the way a lot of popular fiction may present them. They are not these entities of pure, lawful purity and goodness. Um, Most unicorns actually reside within the Fey wilds, and they are downright nasty creatures. They will eviscerate you. Um, could one work with them? Theoretically, yes, one could work with them. Would it be an easy task? No, because they're a bit more primal than even what we would think of the Fae being, because they are kind of like the creatures of the wilds in the Fae wilds. So that's like the difference between, you know, a country boy who, he's a civilized person. He can move in and out of society. He may be rough around the edges or whatnot, but yeah. And then a full-blown starved ravenous grizzly bear. They're technically both of the same plane, but they're not the same to deal with. Um, how unicorns got that imagery that we use in popular fantasy, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's tied in somewhat to their beauty, and that the concept that their beauty is something that couldn't possibly be bad. But doesn't take long to realize beauty can hide some ugly things. So, but yeah, I've encountered several unicorns. Actually, I know at least one of the Fey Queens uses one as a war mount, which is freaking terrifying in its own right to see. But they do exist. They do. As far as their intelligence level and stuff, I've not spent enough time around them to be able to comment on that. From my understanding, they are intelligent, though not quite as intelligent as other beings. So they are of some intelligence. And what you could do when working with them, again, I don't really know. So it's weird. Like my wife loves unicorn like imagery, but even she's never been interested in like working with them even more directly to dive into those a bit more. It's actually an interesting thing. I have wondered occasionally what if you could work with them, and if so, what their pros or cons would be. But not enough that I've actually put the time aside to do it, if that makes any sense. Because it's one of those things like you can have a random thought, but how important is that thought to you? Is it important enough to pursue it? That one just never has. And I really have no relevance for why it has or hasn't. I can't explain why certain thoughts like just lock on to it and then like a homing missile, just and I won't let it go. And then other ones, it's like, oh, that's an interesting thought. And then I never think of it again. I have no actual standard for which ones catch my interest. It just does. And then I'm obsessed until I search it, research it, have piles of notes. And it's like, okay, I know this now. Does it do me any good? Probably not, but I know it now. And then I put those notes away. That's a day in the life of me. Kind of mind blowing right now. That's what my Comac told me, and I didn't want to believe her. The fact that you're saying that it's really making me question the existence right now. What? I'm sorry if me and your Comac both told you the same thing, but all I can do is tell you what I've learned about them because, what can I say? I didn't originally want to work with the Fae to begin with. I didn't want to spend time in the Feywilds, but as I did, you can't take me someplace and not expect me to ask questions, period. I'm an inquisitive individual. That's why I love traveling. That's why I love going to places. That's why I love food. Um, so I'm going to ask questions. Just be prepared. If you're ever with me in public, I will ask questions, and no, I may or may not phrase them the best. So I am that friend that might embarrass you due to the questions he asks. Maybe. Most likely. Okay. How would you protect yourself during soul travel? Honestly, as a magician, you will have to use that. You're going to have to utilize energy and magic, and you're going to have to outthink and outperform most of these other things. The problem with that is most of the things that are actually generally going to be a danger to you in soul travel, they move faster than thought, and you literally have to train yourself to do the same. So then a lot of people's like, how do you move faster than thought? In soul travel, you have to act before you take time to think about it. And that's one of those things. Anyone who's ever taken martial arts kind of knows what I mean by this, because there's a difference in muscle memory and thinking. One, two, one, two. If you have to think of your stance, if you have to think of your position, if you have to think about where you're targeting, you're slowing yourself down. You need it to be so instinctual, there's no thought to it. You're just, and that's actually where you need to get your ability to manipulate energy, control yourself in soul travel, all those things. 9 times out of 10, most people, if they end up in any kind of situation in soul travel, especially at the beginning, they're just going to snap back. It's just going to break their concentration because soul travel requires absolute concentration to maintain it. If your concentration wavers, you snap back. There's no in betweensies. So most people starting out, that's going to be what happens. Now, does that mean do you snap back before any dangers? No, not necessarily. If the thing that startles you and causes you to lose your concentration is, I don't know, let's say Wile E. Coyote drops a rock on your head in soul travel. The hit from the rock is going to be what startles you, and that in and of itself can actually, because your brain doesn't know the difference between your physical body and your soul traveling. It's not like astral travel at all. I know people try to use them interchangeably. They are not. And because of that, it can have some side effects. It just depends. There's no hard set on it. But there can be some massive side effects. And like I've seen bruising happen. I've seen people end up sore from where they were struck. I've seen actual bruises or redness in the exact same shape of the wound they got in soul travel. I've seen some weird crap. So it's not an easy thing. There's a variety of things to do it, and it really comes down to your ability to focus, your discipline, and your ability to split your focus. And those are extremely advanced mental practices for most people. Most people can't chew gum and walk down the street half the time. So yeah, it's a tricky one. That actually would be a great workshop potentially that I may have to do. Maria, thank you for the question. I don't know. Is there a group of entities that we don't know about that I've worked with? Well, when you say we, are we talking about like the human race, or are we talking about Working Dragon Mystic? Because I can think of a few entities I've worked with that I've never shared on Working Dragon Mystic. I'm not sure if I'm fully aware of any mages that haven't. I know there's dragons I've worked with that no other mage currently alive has the names of. And I know a few spirits and a few infernals, But I think you're talking about like the group or the grouping of infernals or like dragons or like Norse or something like that might be more what you're talking about. In those cases, I don't really know. I'd have to search my notes on that one. I'm because like there's a lot of entities I've met in my soul traveling experiments and wanderings and stuff like that. Um, and I will admit, it's been a while since I've just ventured randomly for venturing. So I have to think back, and I'm trying to think if there's any one entity or grouping of entities I met that don't technically fit into some of those larger categories. And I can't think of any right now. So I'm going to have to put it straight up. I don't know. My brain's rested shut on that one. Possibly. I can give you maybe a possibly. Are there plenty of dragons that I have yet to share? Of course. You're going to meet a bunch of them in 103 that has not been shared with anybody. And there's even dragons that I've not had the permission to put in 103 yet. There's a few dragons, of course, that we've not talked about that'll be in 104. So there are definitely some of them for absolute certainty. As far as like large categories, that one I'm not as sure on. I'm really not. I'd have to. I feel like some of those categories are so broad it would seem unlikely. But again, it's like, am I just selling myself short on the entities I've met or not? I don't know. But I'm going to say on the larger categories, I'm a little more sure the answer might be a nope, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Let's see, where was it? Alberto, hey man, welcome. Glad you can make it. Mugs up to you. Made me some good coffee tonight. Let's see. Red Cap, I have a question. Who swears they've, or no, an acquaintance who swears they've accidentally summoned a djinn who won't leave them alone. I know they aren't to be messed with. If there's any truth, what should they do? I'll be honest with you. Accidentally summon a djinn would be next to impossible. These aren't entities that are accidentally summoned. They're not dumb enough to show up to an accidental summoning. So, because I have actually worked with Jinn in the past, and I've had a lot of questions to ask them. Accidental summonings isn't really something. So either they were deliberately trying to do something and summon them deliberately, and they did something to upset this Jinn, in which case they're going to have to make right on that point blank. There's no counterbalance. You either make right or you just carry the problem with you. Or how's the best state this? I don't want to say they're lying because they may not be lying. They may be lying. That's a possibility. I guess we should put that out there. They could just be blowing smoke and making it up or making excuses for why something's going wrong in their life. Or they could be self-cursing themselves because they think something's happened that hasn't happened. If you think you have accidentally summoned something, whether it can be accidentally summoned or not, you can actually self-curse yourself. And I won't lie, Jen absolutely freaking love when we do this. They find it like Comedy Central to watch us curse ourselves and make ourselves miserable and totally give them credit when they're just sitting back eating popcorn, realizing how dumb we are. Jen can be very harsh like that, hands down. That's just the way that is. Is that right or wrong? I'll let you decide. Personally, I'm okay with it. You know, you make your bed, you lie in it. If I'm dumb enough to hold a board like this, take the hacksaw and do this, and cut my arm while I'm cutting the board, that's on me. So that's kind of my window on the world. That's why a lot of people find me to be an asshole. I'm not very sympathetic in certain areas. So accident, highly, 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 highly unlikely. There had to be something deliberate there. The question is what? And if it was deliberate, what did they do to upset the jinn? Just summon them is not enough to upset them. So they need to find that out. Da, 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 da. Ah, crap. Violet Star 103, whoop, 104, whoop. Yeah, 103 is going to be tricky. Like, I'm wondering because I'm like, I can go see how many people's completed 102, and there's a lot of people who they're lagging to say the least. And 103 and 104 will definitely come with a warning because it's going to straight up say you must have completed 102 and 101 before doing 103. You should never enter 103 without fully completing all exercises in the previous two, period. And 104 is actually one that may only be released at certain times. 103 may even only be released at certain times, depending. Because 104 is unlike any other class we've done. It's going to touch on so many advanced topics, techniques, and path workings. Even for an experienced adept who's been doing this stuff for 20, 30, 40, even 50 years, the individuals that's worked with me on the stuff in 104, they struggle with it. It's hard. It really is. It outclasses the stuff that will be in 104 is the stuff that I'm literally working in right now. And I can honestly say that stuff particularly outclasses any other occult work that I've worked in my career. And that's saying some stuff because you all have heard my horror stories about the Cliff-Off and other things. But yeah, I'm hoping to start recording 103 very soon on that one. My question is, after I take a break from the evocation course, will I start recording the Norse or 103? I'm going to be meditating, talking with Odin and Freya and Thor and some others about that, talking with the dragons. I'm also going to look at the statistics for 102 to see if there's enough people completed 102 to actually justify its release. But those two are next on in the pipeline for sure. Johnny, welcome. Mugs up to you. And now I need more coffee. Needing more coffee is not necessarily a bad problem as long as you've got more coffee to get. If you're out of coffee entirely, that's a bad thing. 3,000 years of longing on Prime was about as jinn. I loved it. Do goetic spirits consider themselves jinn? Well, actually, that's an interesting thing because the term jinn actually largely is translated differently and used differently. Like the occult uses it very differently than it was originally used. Because at one point, it literally just meant spirit. Well, by that definition, any spirit would be a jinn. But then at one point, another person translated it to mean malevolent spirit. Okay, so any asshole, butthole spirit's a jinn. So it's used differently, even translated through the culture that it originates from. They used it differently at several times. So when we actually narrow down very specific what is jinn, it gets really hard. The goetic entities in and of themselves don't consider themselves jinn in the specifics of the category. It's more of a regional. Though some people do believe that Paimon is considered one of those jinn. He may be a goetic spirit and a jinn. Some people have done that. In my discussions with Paimon, he denies that. Could that be there could be so many thousands of explanations for that. And for every magician that says Paimon is a jinn, you'll find a magician that says, no, he's not. It's a hard argument. It's just as hard as, are these entities real or are they just in our heads and we're self-hypnotizing ourselves to be better people? If you're getting the results you want at the end of the day, I say potato, potato. And I would love to one day really be able to quantify that and be able to be absolutely 100% sure beyond a shadow of a doubt. Will we ever get there? I don't know. Probably not in my lifetime. But that's not really a quandary or a stop for me, because that's one of the reasons my magic has always been result driven, because whether the entities are real or this or that, I don't need to have faith in that, because I can track the results pretty easily. And if I'm getting the results, I'm good to go. And categories of entities usually fall in that same thing. Like, I will take precautions around certain categories that have a history of behavior, because even if it's a thought form, an egregore that's been built around this behavior, if you're tapping into it, you're going to be subject to that behavior. So let's say the Fae don't exist. They're all in our heads, right? The Fae have a long, long history of their mischievous, harmful behavior. Not evil, not malevolent, because it's just a state of mind for the Fae, but they have a history of that. So if the Fae are nothing more than an egregore or a thought form created by us in order to create this form of self-hypnosis, in order to better ourselves or to keep us morally in check, even if it's to protect the woodlands where the wee folk live, for whatever reason, if that's the case, then tapping into that will expose you to the dangers of that, plain and simple. And your singular viewpoint wouldn't be enough to overcome the entirety of that lore and mythology that makes up that energy pattern. So, showing the same precautions to that possibility as you would if they're a literal, real thing makes just good sense. And I mean, you all know from my Are Entities Real or Not video that this day and age, I'm on the side of they are absolutely real, where I was originally more on the psychological side. If you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend you go check it out. So when we're talking about those categories, that's a hard one there for me, Violet Star, because it really goes into some of those philosophical, fun discussions. But those fun discussions can just go, and then 6 hours are gone, and everybody's talking, everyone's thinking, but have we gone anywhere? Probably not. Because it's like trying to get somewhere on a merry-go-round. You're on your horse and you're going, and from your point of view, man, it's a ride, but really, you're just doing this. But I find conversations like that fascinating. Vitke, Drake, I have a purely hypothetical. I'm cool with those. I like playing hypotheticals. I'm a nerd. I'm a dork. Let's do it. I have a silly question tonight, but what if a dragon came into the physical world? Would that mean make them a rogue dragon? Sorry, I know you hate this topic. I'm just curious. No, look, that's fine. I'm a grown ass man. Okay, we can deal with that. Emotions. It's all good. Don't worry about that, Vicky. Honestly, it would not make them a rogue dragon. That act in and of itself wouldn't. But it would cause mass destruction here on this planet. Any dragon that's larger than, let's say, a Volkswagen Beetle is going to cause enough energetic disturbance and turbulence around it, if it was to fully physically manifest here, that the city in which it manifests will cease to exist. The city. So, like, let's say you had a dragon the size of, let's just say, a semi. LA or New York would cease to exist if they were in the center of that city, just because of the sheer raw primal energy around them would rip it apart. And as you scale up to some of the actually larger and older dragons, you're talking states, continents, even our planet. And some particular elements in like the higher elements, those dragons, if they were to manifest even as little hatchlings, well, hatchlings don't technically have an element. But let's say you actually took that energy and put it into a hatchling or a small little cat-sized dragon, something like the Maelstrom or the Chaos Dragons, and you manifested them physically. Earth won't be here. It's gone. Poof. So it would be very destructive. Now, would they do this? Well, they could. Potentially. They have done it, according to their records, because there were certain planets that reached the point that they were so dangerous to the balance that they were erased, destroyed, kaputted. And oftentimes, dragons fully know that their physical presence is the easiest way to just snap something out of existence. Um, and it's going to depend on the dragon who gets the order. Some of them are a bit more tactful. Some of them are a bit more flashy. Some of them are more like just DDT the planet out of existence. It's going to depend on the dragon. But that's the short answer of it, which I actually find kind of cool. I know it's demented, but I do. I kind of find it cool. Um, da, 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 da. Let's see, Summit here again. Have you worked with the signs of the zodiac? Each sign has an archangel. I have worked with the zodiac energies somewhat. I have worked with the archangels tied to the zodiacs. I don't do a lot of work with zodiacs of the archangels or the energies these days. If I do work with the zodiacs, it's more with zodiac style dragons, which I've talked about in previous videos. But I also don't correlate zodiac, like dragons and archangels have made it very clear to me that the zodiac energy currents are not tied to the time of year the way we think of them and assign them. So they heavily, and dragons really heavily separate astrology from zodiac energies. But I have worked with them. We even discussed, I want to say we discussed them in Dragon Magic 102 and Dragon Alchemy, because it does come into play very heavily in Draconic Alchemy or Dragon Alchemy. Um, let's see, Angela Faye lore is hilarious. Sometimes never be drunk. Oh God, Faye lore is absolutely hilarious. Like honestly and seriously, like Faye lore around the world. Now that I know that the Wee folk aren't necessarily of our world, but certain Fae have taken liking to certain environments, which okay makes sense. I mean, think of us going on a vacation. There's places we'd visit. There's places we don't want to visit, right? My wife doesn't want to go to Antarctica. To be honest, I don't want to go to Antarctica. I would freaking love Alaska, but also I like warmer climates. I like oceans. I like lakes. I actually prefer lakes over oceans. Totally going to admit that. But same thing with them. But then you have how humans explained what's happening and how humans wrote the mythology around them. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk to the Fae about the lore and how this happened or why they encouraged this. Did they encourage this? Because some of the Fae lore is just so freaking amusing. I love it. But then again, honestly, mythology is pretty freaking amazing when you sit down and read it. Because you're seeing mankind in its search for answers, trying to make sense of something even before they have an answer. Like, we know Thor's not riding around the sky swinging a hammer to make lightning. We know that now. But mythology in and of itself, it tells a story in parables and analogies in so many ways that maybe it's a southerner in me. You all have seen me give analogies so many times, but I just love it because reading mythology is just like listening to that old timer tell a story with some analogy or something to try and help you understand it. Of course, some of those analogies are so far out the window, so far removed from what we know. It's like, what are you even talking about? But I've also had discussions with old timers like that because they're using lingo and um, you know, slang and stuff that to them is just common. But even to my generation, when I was hearing the story, it's like, what? Huh? So I'm sure, like, if you had that same old timer tell, like, um, Squirrel's generation a story, she'd probably not even think he's speaking English at that point. But yeah, I freaking love it for those reasons. Let's see. Whoa, we jumped again. Busy, busy, busy. Oh, yes. Do remember, if you want to support the channel or you want to be included in the weekly spell working, we do have super chats for the weekly spell working. It's a super chat of $5 or more. Question or no question. If I'm missing your question in these busy streams, just drop the super chat, give us a tip. It'll flash it up real fancy over here on the side, whatever, and I'll get to that. If you're a supporter over at Locals, drop me your question over there. I make a point to answer all the supporter questions over there. Been a very busy beaver. What can I say? So I am having to pick and choose where I answer questions these days because I didn't expect to get popular. I'm not going to say I'm famous. I'm still just some crazy old redneck wizard, but I'm at least popular. Let's see. That's a bit more horrifying than I thought, but very fascinating. Thanks for the info. No problem. No problem. I try to answer as best I can where I can. And y'all know I don't really do the like I don't do the hard set things. Like you can come to me and say, I think it's all complete psychology. Okay, I don't care. That don't change me. That don't change you. That's why I love the results area, because regardless of our philosophies, if we're yielding the results, we can help work and refine the results. And that's just it. You know what I mean? I really, 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 really get annoyed by these people who it's my way or no way. You're wrong. You're stupid. Go away. Now I can answer questions to the best of my knowledge and function that I have utilized, and that's usually where I'll answer it. I do have permission from a lot of my colleagues and friends, sometimes to share names, sometimes not, to share their experiences and their methods and whatnot, which I do. I mention my colleagues whenever possible. But I try to give as many viewpoints as possible. So some people's actually said, you answered the same question 4 different times. And you've almost given different answers each time. Yes. Because I am answering off the cuff. I don't have notes here. Closest thing to a note I have is a coffee cup. And I will pull from all my experiences and all those individuals I know and answer what is coming to my head from those experiences, and hopes that I give you some information that I know to be functional that will help you, because we all are slightly different in our path. Remember, ultimately, it's the same destination with infinite paths to get there. Question is yours working for you? That's the question you need to answer most of all. So there we go. Which is so cool. Wait, so Thor doesn't do that every time there's a storm? No, unfortunately, Thor's got better things to do. In Thor's own words, he has drinking to do. I'm not lying. I remember asking about that one time, and that was his response. He's like, "You think I'm the only one out there creating thunder? That when it storms, I'm out there making thunder and lightning? I got better things to do, like drinking and fighting and fishing." I was like, seriously, okay. And I couldn't help, like, I didn't voice it. I mean, I'm sure he knew I was thinking it, but I didn't voice it. But I was like, that was the most redneck answer I've heard. Total respect. Dragon of the West, I guess, how does our mental state affect our manifestation or spell work? A lot. An absolute lot. Like if you're a big Debbie Downer and you're going to assume from the get-go it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Your mental state affects it absolutely. That's one of the reasons that it's often said the best way to make sure your spells are successful is to never do spell work in desperation. When you're desperate for something, it's hard to let it go. You're always thinking about it. You're always dwelling on it. You're always worrying about it. And if you can't release the energy, if you can't stop thinking about it, you're not going to, you have very little chance to manifest it. Is it potentially possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. You have to be able to let it go. And depending on the type of magic you're doing or what you're trying to manifest, this can actually get exponentially more difficult. Um, your mind state, your emotional state, these things actually do matter. You need to be taking care of yourself. Your mental health matters. Um, so you need to be doing everything you can to balance yourself and master yourself. Self mastery and self empowerment are separate things, but they go together like peanut butter and jelly. If you can't control your emotions, if you can't control your thoughts, if you can't control how you react to outside stimuli, you got work you need to do. If you're overly stressed, if you're overly depressed, if you're overly focusing on the negative or overly focusing on the positives, all these things can affect your spell work, and they will affect it drastically, hands down. That was one of the harder things for me because I had a lot of personal issues. I really did. But all at the same time, though they may have affected my spell working at some level, it also gave me tools and stuff to dive in and work on me, which is why I actually do plan to do a full, deep, like hardcore shadow working course at some point. Very soon, actually. That's actually a top priority. I should have added that to the two I mentioned earlier, but that is a top priority because your mental and physical and emotional well-being, every single one of them affects your magic. Unlike D&D, unlike fictional novels where wizards are these frail little sickly boys and they're like, oh, look, I can't pick up a book or a coffee cup, but I can sling spells to manipulate the multiverse. No, a mage needs physical health. They actually do need to care about their physical well-being. Now, do they need to be able to bench press a dump truck? No, but they do need to focus on their physical. If any mage worth their salt will be focused on their mental, emotional, and physical empowerment, mastery, and well-being. Period. And if you're not willing and ready to focus on all three of those, not pick and choose, all three, package deal, don't practice magic. If you don't want life to throw more challenges at you, don't practice magic because the multiverse will throw more challenges at you the more you're able to handle. Well, magic allows you to be able to handle more, so it gives you more. Let's see, Angela. I personally think all entities draw straws and take turns. Okay. I don't know about entities in general causing storms as their primary thing, but I love that image though, Angela. I really do. Oh my God, I love it. I can just imagine Chris Hemsworth saying this. Okay, from the Marvel standpoint, I like Chris Hemsworth Thor. I did. From a Norse standpoint, I absolutely despised him. Thor is not blonde. Thor would not be this little gym beauty. I mean, you see Thor, the dude's built like a barrel. So if you want to see more of a Thor's physique, look at a strongman competition where these guys are like, they seriously are bench pressing like dualies and stuff, and they're more rounded. They're more closer built to me. I'm no strongman, but they're closer to my build because, well, you can tell my arms aren't quite that big, but they have more of the barrel build that I do as opposed to Chris. Which, don't get me wrong, Chris looked great in that movie. He definitely worked out. Even getting in shape, I can assure you all, I'll never get in Chris Hemsworth's shape. I don't have the motivation for that. But I could see him saying that, GK. You're absolutely right. Let's see. Red Cap. Witchcraft has a history of being political with all the horrors going on and having power. Why do many choose to keep themselves and villainize and utilize magic in this way? Oh, we try to avoid politics here, Red Cap, and this is an important topic. And honestly, I'm thinking about talking about this during one of the supporter only live streams where I'm a bit freer to discuss some of these things now, strictly from a magical standpoint, because if you are talking politics, it gets very tricky. And when we're talking from a multiversal perspective, you have to look at the alignment and the viewpoints of the different entities throughout the multiverse. So looking at it specifically from like the Fae or the dragons, um, especially the dragons deal in balance. There is good, there is evil. There are people who do good, there are people who do bad. But then the dragons are also fully aware, because they are very primal beings, that evil in and of itself isn't defined by the act, it's defined by the intent and the why. Because the to the fly, the spider is evil. To the spider, the fly is dinner. It is a matter of survival. What is chaos for the fly is normal for the spider. And what's normal for the spider is chaos to the fly. These same concepts apply themselves to humanity. It's not as simple as black and white or good or evil. There's a far more complex aspect there. And then there's also within the fact that entities want to see humanity grow. And you can't grow or help a person grow if you just fix all their problems for them. Um, Look at all these people who grew up having everything handed to them. They've never heard the one word no. They've never been allowed to have a red mark on a report card because, oh, that hurts their feelings now. They get into the real world. They're told no. They don't know how to handle it. They're not emotionally or mentally prepared for the real world, because the real world don't care about your feelings. Um, so constantly just doing things to fix the problems for someone else doesn't help them grow and help them to deal with it. All it does is actually move it down the road to a much larger problem. And this is in all aspects of life. So when you look at the craziness in the world, um, why do entities not just step in and fix it? That's why. If they just stepped in and fixed it, they're actually doing us more ill will than ever, because they expect us to fix it for ourselves. They expect us to genuinely grow up, to grow the fuck up and deal with our problems. Now, does that mean peaceful kumbaya utopia? Absolutely not. There will never be such a thing. The multiverse won't support it, because there's always going to be trials and challenges and different things. Just like I said earlier, like if you want an easy life, don't practice magic, because when you start practicing magic, you have the ability to handle more things. So the multiverse throws more things at you. Now, that being said, would I say to a practitioner or a magician to pay attention to the world, pay attention to your community, and see where you might be able to help it? Yes. But I would also caution you in your meddling. Make sure you understand the situation, and you understand the situation on a larger paradigm than just what you want. Um, because that is more or less, you have to find the balanced solution for that board. And that is a tricky thing. And no, the entities will not just step in and fix it for us, because it's our responsibility. It's our duty. It's our job. Um, and asking them to do so is the worst thing we could possibly do for ourselves. That is the best answer I can give without getting political or going too deep into the very specific craziness that is going on. And there's a lot of craziness going on. There is a lot of craziness. Wherever you're at in the globe, some places crazier than other crazies, but that is the best answer I can give you, mate. If you're one of the supporters over at Locals, drop me a message over there during one of the live streams. We'll try and touch on it a little better, where we're able to not get a channel deleted, because some of the problems in the world right now, my channel will get deleted if I talk about them. I hope that helps somewhat, Redcap. I really do. I know it's probably not as good of an answer as you was hoping for, mate. Immortal, do you have the free time you work to? You don't have the free time you work too much. Oh, Immortal, I love you, man. You're right. You're right. Oh, God, you're right. I know. Oh, like I was actually working on trying to figure out how I can get more active and stuff. You know what my solution was? Immortal, you're going to love this. I hope you're sitting down. If you're holding your kid, put the kid down because you're going to drop them. My solution was during my daily meditation or soul travel work, because I've learned to be able to bilocate to some extent, and I wanted to practice that skill. So during either that practice or during my meditations, instead of doing the ritual and staying in the ritual room and doing that, do the ritual and go for a walk. So start taking hikes and work. That was my solution. Notice how no matter what I'm doing, somehow I'm trying to plug work into it. It's like, how can I take my work with me? I don't want to leave my work. It's my security blanket. This is my emotional support work. I'm awful. I know I am. But seriously, that was my solution, and I've actually got a little thing planned out for it. Tip number 2 of asking where dragon babies come from. Not letting this one go. I need to know I won't be able to sleep. Please, Drake. Okay, Vicky, there's a lot of jokes I could make about how obsessed you are with this question, but I'm going to be nice because you're a wonderful member of this community, and I'm not going to make those jokes. However, no, dragon babies come from the same place you would expect babies to come from. You have a mama dragon, you have a daddy dragon. They love each other very much as dragons can, and they get together, they have a conversation, they spend a little time together, then the dragon stork comes by and delivers an egg. That egg goes into the hatchery, which is an entire securely, fully locked plane that no one is allowed in except very specific dragons, and the actual possessors of the eggs do not ever expect to see the hatchery. And that's where they hatch, and there for a while until a certain point they remain in the hatchery. And even at that point, they begin some of their studies while in the hatchery. They don't leave the hatchery for some time. They actually begin many of their studies there in the hatchery. And when they are allowed out of the hatchery, they're always in the protective guard of some other dragon or dragons until they reach a certain point. That's really where they come from. Now, do dragons mate for life? That's kind of a yes and a no, because weirdly, you will find dragons that have mates, but they may not even see each other often. Like, they have their own territories. They usually don't share territories. Their territories may, on some rare occasions, be close to each other, but they're very solitary creatures. So by and large, there's that. That's why the hatchery's there, because it's like, this is this territory. This is your territory. The egg is safely here, and it's a shared territory. That's also another. It's not just the secure, because dragons are like freaking lethally protective. Like, if I don't care who it was, let's say the Milky Way galaxy threatened the hatchery. Okay, the dragon solution, Milky Way doesn't exist. Let's say the Norse pantheon threatened the hatchery. You can bet that pantheon won't exist. There's no measure of quarter. There's no measure of warning shot. There's nothing when you threaten that hatchery. I thought Southern mamas were bad. But there you go. Hope that helps answer the question. I hope I understood the question correctly. But that's generally the gist of it. I want my emotional support puppy now. Hey, this is my emotional support beverage. Somebody told me I need to get that on a coffee cup at the shop because I call coffee my emotional support beverage. But yeah. We can't control the problems of the world, but we can control our response. Yeah. And that's one of the things. I mean, we got to do the best we can do. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. Will we fuck it up? Probably. You can't grow and become a better person without working hard to achieve. And in that process to achieve, you will fuck up. Let's be honest, you will fuck up. Everything I am is built on a pile of attempts, some successes, and a whole lot of fuckery and fucking up. That's just the truth. Uh, duh, 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 duh. Let's see. I missed something. Imagine Drake trying to have free time at a coffee shop and going, leave. No, I can't. Oh God. I am kind of bad. Yeah, I can't really. Oh God, don't put me out in public at Christmas. I get so high strung during the holidays. Um, Dragon Storage Pro Soft. It was a little bit of a joke. I tried to make it somewhat entertaining. You know, knew it. Thanks for not putting me on blast, Drake. Appreciate it. No, I enjoy y'all's questions. I really do. I really do. Don't worry about it, Vicky. You got a question? Ask it. I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you guys actually genuinely ask a question I can't answer, I will at least tell you I can't answer it for some reason, whether it's, like earlier I said, the channel would get deleted or something like that. But then again, that's the beauty of the locals community we're setting up. Those are going to be that's going to be a place where we can answer questions that I couldn't answer otherwise. Yeah, they definitely have a "this is my spot" mentality. Uh, let's see. Dragons have this. We can respect that. We love them for it. Make it in a beer glass. You know what, Anthony or Immortal? I can definitely put that on a pint glass too, because we do have the Dragon's Eye seal over at the shop on a pint glass. I actually have a couple of them in my kitchen. So yeah, I could definitely put "this is my emotional support beverage" on a pint glass. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. We're going to do that, Anthony. Or yeah, we're going to make that happen. Remind me to do that this week. I'm going to make sure that happens. Red Cap, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Appreciate it. Mugs up. I feel like I'm missing. And Jade's throwing clocks at me. Let's see. So I'm going to guess, Red Cap, you appreciated the answer that I gave. Okay, mate. I'm glad because I try to answer y'all's questions. I really do. I try not to skip them, and I try to make sure you guys understand that. But there are some things that, unfortunately, just the way social media is done, it's a pain in my ass. Hopefully, having that community that is 100% crowd funded and everything's going to allow us to touch on some of those things, everybody. Because you guys have amazing questions, and you have a right to have these questions. Okay, you really do. And I think they're important topics. Definitely, there's a lot of philosophical and emotional topics that do need to be discussed more that are complex. They really are. So, yeah. All right. Jay's been throwing clocks at me. I got a meeting I got to get to also. And apparently, I got coffee cups and beer glasses to design. You all, thank you very much for joining us tonight. This has been a lot of fun, a lot of great questions. I enjoy these. And remember, if you aren't a Working Dragon Mystic community supporter but would like to be, go to workingdragonmystic.com, click on the community tab, and that'll take you over to our locals page. Over there, you're going to find all the supporter only content. And this is content that YouTube, Patreon, they've decided not to let us post. As well as you're going to be able to find the links to any of the weekly Wednesday supporter only live streams and everything that we're going to be doing, including the workshops, all those things. And as a supporter, if you have a question that's a sketchy question, you can message me directly on Gilded too. And I'll try and touch on it in the live stream. Or if you're on locals, you can message me. You can ask the question there. And if it's one that you all know I don't type well, so if it's one I don't feel I can type and articulate well, at the very minimum, I'll be like, I will answer this in the next stream so you know, and I'll make a note of it so I can talk to you in the next stream about it. All right, everyone. Is the community on another platform? Yes, it's on locals, But if you go to workingdragonmystic.com, that's my main website. You will see a tab for the online school. You'll see the Working Dragon Mystic Community tab. You'll see the YouTube tab. You'll see our Rumble tab. That's a one-stop shop for everything Working Dragon Mystic. Oh, look, Jay just dropped that. And she dropped the actual locals community. So there it is. Just click that, pop on over there. If you just join it for free, there is still content there for free. People who want to just be part of the community there. If you sign on as a supporter, unlike Patreon where there's different tiers, it's just a one flat, all supporters are the same. So all tiers are being rolled into one thing there, and you get access to everything. And yeah, we're trying to grow it. We've done the math, and we figure if we can get 50 supporters, we can be 100% crowdfunded, and be able to do a lot more than we're already doing. So if you believe in the mission and the cause of what we're doing here and trying to bring answers and self-empowerment and mastery to people, consider supporting us over there. It'd be a great help. In fact, I'm trying to hit that 50 supporter by the end of the year. And if we hit it by the end of the year, I'm actually going to do one of those. I'm going to try and do that marathon live stream y'all has been asking me to do, as crazy as that may be. I may need a co-host because I may need to stretch my legs at some point. So somebody needs to yammer on while I ain't there. But that's the plan. You guys have been wanting like a 12, 24-hour stream. We're going to try and do it. All you got to do is get us those 50 supporters. We'd appreciate it. Thank you for everything you all do. You make this channel absolutely possible. Thank you for your questions. It's always good to see you guys on the weekend. And I will see you next week. And for the supporters, I'll see you Wednesday. And I hope you enjoy this Tuesday's video. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.